Tonight we turn our attention to Washington, where a significant piece of legislation, dubbed by some the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, has narrowly passed the House of Representatives. The vote, finalized just recently on this day, May 27, 2025, was a close 215 to 214, signaling the contentious nature of its contents. This bill, spanning over 1,000 pages, proposes sweeping changes to America's tax code and federal spending programs. It now heads to the Senate, where its future will be debated and decided. For millions of Americans, the central question is, what does this mean for me, for my family, and for cornerstone programs like Social Security? We aim to provide some clarity. The sheer scope of this bill touches upon many facets of American life, from how much tax workers pay on their overtime earnings, to the way families receive support for raising children, and even the future of student loan repayment. However, a particularly prominent area of discussion, and indeed concern for many, revolves around Social Security. For decades, Social Security has been a bedrock of financial support for retirees, disabled individuals, and survivors. Any proposed changes naturally draw intense scrutiny, especially when they relate to promises made about the taxes that fund this vital system, and the taxes that seniors pay on the benefits they receive after a lifetime of work. Many will recall pledges made regarding Social Security taxes, specific commitments that resonated with voters across the country. One such promise was the potential elimination of taxes on Social Security benefits for seniors, a move aimed at increasing the disposable income of retirees. Another area involved the payroll taxes that workers contribute from their paychecks, the very lifeblood that sustains the Social Security trust funds. The new bill addresses these areas, but perhaps not in the way everyone expected. Understanding these changes is crucial for both current beneficiaries and future generations who will depend on the program. Therefore, over the next few minutes, we will break down exactly what this new bill proposes for Social Security. We will examine the pledges made, how the bill aligns or diverges from them, and what the practical implications might be for your benefits and the program's overall health. We will also touch upon other significant alterations to government programs contained within this legislation, helping you understand the broader landscape of these reforms. Our goal, as always, is to provide you with clear, factual information, so you can assess what these developments mean for your financial future and for the country. A significant promise that captured the attention of many seniors was the pledge to completely eliminate federal income taxes on Social Security benefits. For many retirees, these benefits form a substantial portion of their income, and the prospect of keeping more of that money, free from taxation, was understandably very appealing. The idea was to provide more financial breathing room for older Americans, many of whom live on fixed incomes and face rising costs for healthcare and daily essentials. This pledge became a key talking point, and many have been eagerly awaiting to see if this comprehensive relief would materialize in new legislation. However, as the details of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act have emerged, it is clear that this particular promise has not been fully realized. The bill does not, in fact, eliminate taxes on Social Security benefits altogether. Seniors across the country will find that under this new legislation, their Social Security income may still be subject to federal income tax, much as it is under current law. This news will likely come as a disappointment to those who were anticipating a complete removal of this tax burden, as the existing rules for benefit taxation largely remain in place, continuing to affect a significant number of beneficiaries. Instead of a full elimination, the bill introduces a new targeted measure. Seniors age 65 and older will be eligible for an additional $4,000 tax deduction. While this isn't the complete tax removal that was discussed, it does offer some measure of financial relief for eligible older Americans. It's important to note, however, that this deduction will be subject to income limits, meaning not every senior will qualify, and the extent of the benefit will vary. This targeted approach aims to provide some assistance, but it falls short of the broader promise of making all Social Security benefits tax-free for everyone receiving them. The decision not to fully eliminate taxes on benefits likely stems from significant fiscal considerations. Completely removing this tax would result in a substantial reduction in federal revenue, potentially by billions of dollars annually. Such a decrease in income for the government could further strain Social Security's own finances, which are already facing long-term pressures, or necessitate deeper cuts in other areas or larger increases in the national debt. The $4,000 deduction appears to be a compromise, an attempt to offer some tax relief to seniors without creating an unmanageable hole in the federal budget or the Social Security funding stream. The way Social Security is funded is primarily through payroll taxes, often referred to as FICA taxes, which are deducted from employees' paychecks and matched by their employers. This consistent stream of revenue from working Americans is what allows the system to pay out benefits to millions of retirees, disabled individuals, and survivors each month. It's a foundational element of the program's design, ensuring that those who contribute during their working years receive support later on. Any change to what income is subject to these payroll taxes can have profound effects on the system's financial stability. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act introduces a groundbreaking change to this funding mechanism. Under the new provisions, overtime pay earned by workers would no longer be subject to Social Security and Medicare payroll taxes. Furthermore, this overtime income would also be exempt from federal and state income taxes. This is a dramatic departure from current tax law, where overtime pay is generally treated like regular wages for tax purposes. For workers who frequently earn overtime, this could mean a noticeable increase in their take-home pay, as a significant portion of their earnings would suddenly become tax-free. Similarly, the bill proposes that income received as tips will also be exempt from Social Security and Medicare taxes. This exemption for tipped income is slated to last through the year 2028 and would also shield these earnings from income tax. This change would directly impact millions of workers in the service industry, such as restaurant servers, bartenders, and delivery drivers, for whom tips constitute a substantial part of their earnings. Like the overtime exemption, this could lead to higher net pay for these individuals. But it also means less money flowing into the Social Security and Medicare trust funds from this segment of the workforce. While these changes might sound like good news for workers who receive overtime or tips, they raise very serious concerns about the long-term financial health of Social Security. The Tax Foundation and Yale's Budget Lab have estimated that exempting just overtime pay from these taxes could reduce federal revenue by as much as $866 billion between 2025 and 2034. This significant reduction in dedicated funding could accelerate the depletion of Social Security's trust funds, potentially forcing difficult choices sooner rather than later, such as benefit cuts or tax increases elsewhere, to ensure the program's solvency for future generations, even if current benefit payments are not directly cut by this specific bill. Beyond the specific alterations to Social Security, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act ushers in a host of other significant changes to major federal programs which will affect millions of Americans. For instance, Medicaid faces substantial funding reductions projected at $698 billion over the next decade. This could lead to 7.6 million people losing their health insurance coverage. Additionally, new community engagement requirements mandating 80 hours per month of work, education, or community service are being introduced for Medicaid recipients. The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, commonly known as food stamps, is slated for considerable cuts, amounting to $267 billion. Work requirements for SNAP recipients are being expanded with the age threshold raised to 64. The child tax credit will see a temporary increase of $500, raising it to $2,500 per child for tax years 2025 through 2028. However, new eligibility rules could exclude 4.5 million children from this credit. The bill also repeals Biden-era student loan forgiveness rules, streamlines repayment options, introduces borrowing caps, and eliminates federal loans for future graduate students. In a novel initiative, the bill establishes MAGA savings accounts providing $1,000 for babies born between 2024 and 2028. These widespread changes paint a picture of a major fiscal overhaul. Ultimately, this legislation creates distinct winners and losers. Potential winners include high-income earners, families with children who qualify for increased credits, and workers receiving overtime pay or tips. However, potential losers include low-income Americans, particularly those earning under $50,000, student borrowers, and the long-term fiscal stability of Social Security, making these changes profoundly important for everyone's future.